This video is going to give you a short overview of the InterNav tools that are available in CleanSweep. So here we are looking at a little bit of data that was collected in Pearl Harbor. If we zoom in, you'll see that there's actually a shipwreck in this data, and we've got 3 passes that we're mosaicing together. And if you look closely, you'll see that there's some obvious offsets between the adjacent and overlapping portions of data. And this is something you might get if you're surveying with a towed system or using a submersible where you don't have good GPS positioning. In CleanSweep, if we zoom in on an obvious feature with an offset, we can define what are called InterNav feature points. And basically what this is you're telling the software that these 2 features are actually the same thing and should be located in the same place. So there we've defined one feature at the nose of the shipwreck. I'm going to zoom around and create just a few more that should help improve the overall positioning. And these CleanSweep's not going to do static shifts of the data. It's actually, as we define more and more feature observations, it's going to recalculate the navigation track line based on this new information. One of the useful things in CleanSweep, especially when you're doing these InterNav corrections, is the ability to turn on and turn off individual track lines of data, where you can reshuffle them and sort them any way you want. So let's just do one more feature observation here. And you can see that each time I create these feature points, there's those pink arrows that get drawn in, and that's just CleanSweep. Those are the vectors that it's using to adjust the positioning. So let's go ahead and remosaic the data set, and these changes will take effect. So here we have it. We can obviously see that the positioning looks a little better. If we toggle on and off some of these layers, you'll see that things are generally lining up. It's not perfect. We could probably do a little better if we spent some time, but for now this is good. So we've got relative agreement between our overlapping data, but what about the absolute positioning? Is the shipwreck in the correct location? And if we adjust the transparency of our data, you'll see that there's a charted location for the shipwreck that's to the southwest of where we're currently mapping it. So before we were using InterNav feature points to pin down the relative positioning of the overlapping data, but now we're going to use what's called an InterNav anchor point. And as the name implies, an anchor point is basically locking in the position in relative to a chart or some other background data set that gives you a good reliable position for where your data should be. So I'm going to define 2 anchor points, one at the front and one at the back of the boats, and that should be enough to lock it in where we want it. So again, if I remosaic the data, we should see the changes take effect. So there we have it. Again, if we adjust the transparency, we should see that now our shipwreck is falling where we want it. And that is InterNav.